Sports in the city. Sports in the city. Sports in the city. We keeping it gritty with our sports in the city. Live from the arena. Welcome to Sports in the City. From East Coast to the West Coast, from the South to the North, there's a Sports in the City. Wherever you are, thanks for tuning in to Sports in the City TV. I'm your sports G, Reed Richards, along with my partner in crime, BK Ty. Peace,
salute,
God.
salute. Good evening, everybody. Shout out to all sports fans from coast to coast. Every court, every field, every stadium. Big up to 757, Hampton Road, stand up. Shout out to Brooklyn. Brooklyn, stand up. Like, subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification button so you can be made aware of when we put out new content. How you doing today, Reed?
I'm good. What's up, BK Ty? What's happening, brother?
Another week, man. Week chock full of sports, man. You know, chock full of sports. This is probably one of the busiest sports weeks.
Your favorite time of the year.
Favorite time of the year, baby. That's sports equinox.
29th time is a sports equinox.
Let's go.
You're listening to Sports in the City live from Narita on Sports in the City TV on the iRant Network. Yo, so here we go, man. Let's go. This is going to be a classic, man. Yo, Logic, man. It's going to be a monster, man.
Oh, it's going to be a monster, man. We going to get that's going to be a monster.
Word up, Ty. This is going to be a great show, man. Strictly Top Shelf, the Sports Equinox, episode 7. In honor of the Sports Equinox, we would like to play one of the most iconic intros ever, man. That WWW, man. One of my favorites when I was growing up. Every Saturday, I couldn't wait to watch some sports. And it was a time, man, that it was a different time, a different era, man. It was much more peaceful. Things were much more sane, man. And before we get started into the show, I would just like to take a moment out to say that we call for peace, man. Let there be a ceasefire, man, in Israel, Palestine, man. It's senseless. It don't make no sense. Whoever's profiting from the bloodshed and the bombings and the war, man, cut it out, man. Knock it off. We don't need it, man. Definitely. Yo, Logic, man. Can we get that clip of the wide world of sports? All right, I guess we'll come back to that, man. We're going to move along. Live from the Diamond, the World Series rundown, games 1 to 3. Game 4 is actually being played tonight, right? Next in our NFL helmet-to-helmet segment, we will high-step through the league. Coach Prime, man, like Coach Prime. The 49ers continue to stumble. Kyle Shanahan calls out his team. Subpar performance. The boys rout the Rams. The Broncos pony up on the Chiefs. The Battle of New York futility, along with the rest of the docket for Week 7. Reaching the summit, we'll be backpedaling like Travis Hunter through the weak state of NCAA football games. The Michigan Wolverines drama, it continues. Coach Prime is still critical of his players. Also from round ball around the world, we dribbling strong to the hole, slicing and pick and rolling through Week 1 in the NBA. We can't forget our monsters of the week, including some usual suspects and some new additions, man. Let's get it, man. Strictly Top Shelf, off the top of the pile. The World Series rundown. Rangers win in walk-off fashion in Game 1, 6-5. Trailing 5-3 in the bottom of the 9th. Seager comes up with one man on and one out. And guess what he does, man? He hits a 2-run blast. And going into the 11th inning, your man Aldonis Garcia, hits a home run off of Castro to walk off, man. That was a crazy game, bro.
Hot bat, man. It's a hot bat. Didn't he get hurt last night? Was it last night he got hurt?
Yeah, he strained something in his back.
Is he playing tonight?
That is yet to be known because I was here. So I'm definitely going to try to look into that
That's
while
tough.
we're on the air. But yeah, the Diamondbacks definitely They had the game in the bag. Bottom of the ninth, 5-3, they were up. Corey Seager came in and he caught a pitch that's just his speed, man. A high pitch, and he hit that lefty stroke. It was gone before you even knew it, man. As soon as it hit off the bat, you knew it was gone. That was a crazy blow right there.
Sure.
2-run shot. Then your man Garcia came up in the bottom of the 11th. Walk-off style, man. He's having an
incredible series.
Him and Corey Seager having a tremendous series, man. Definitely moving along. Any other thoughts on that game one? They snatched it from the Diamondbacks.
Listen, that's the way that game ended, man. That's true sports lore right there, man. Those are the moments that all sports fans live for. A walk-off in the World Series, can't beat that, man.
Definitely. Corey Seager goes down in World Series Fall Classic lore. That was a blast, too. Look at that shot. It was a no-doubter. No doubt about it.
For real.
Moving on to game two. In game two, Merrill Kelly pitches a gem as the Snakes strike back, touching up Jordan Montgomery for 4 runs and roughing up the Rangers bullpen for 5 more runs. In the 7th, 8th, and 9th, they tagged on 5 runs in a 16-hit attack on their way, to a 9-1 win. Any thoughts on game two?
Man, I hope they ain't empty the clip in that game. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of offense and a lack of response from Texas, man. But as we seen, they came back around. They got it together in game 3. But game 2 was definitely uncharacteristic. That definitely don't want to see a game like that. I mean, even if it's your team, that's my opinion anyway. I'd love
Merrill Kelly. He's 3-1 in the playoffs.
Yeah. I prefer my team to not say it again.
Yes, Merrill Kelly, he's just shut them down, bro, in game 2. 7 innings pitched, only 3 hits, allowing 3 hits, 1 earned run, and he had 9 Ks, which is the second most, only behind the great Randy Johnson for most strikeouts in a World Series game. So he did his thing. And Jordan Montgomery, before that, was 3-0 going into that game. He pitched okay, but he gave up 9 hits, which was uncharacteristic for him during this playoffs, and he didn't have any strikeouts. So the Diamondbacks did their thing. Moving on to game 3, which was led by Corey Seager's 2-run blast. Gold Glove defense and pitching by committee, the Rangers bullpen, they teamed up 5 pitches because Max Scherzer got hurt. After the 3rd inning, they pulled him. He had some back strain going on. And John Gray came in and gave 3 shutout innings. And the rest of the bullpen chipped in, and they shut the Diamondbacks down for the pivotal game 3 victory. And they won that game 3-1. Chapman came in. Lalert came in. They did their thing in that game 3 last night. We have to see if the Diamondbacks can strike back once again and tie it up 2-2. See what game 4 leads us to. Anything else on the Fall Classic?
No, brother. I'm waiting to see what the results are looking like for tonight.
All right, so we're going to move along. NFL helmet to helmet. Let's get to high stepping through the league like Coach Prime. First game on the board, the 49ers continue to stumble, losing their 3rd straight to the Bengals, 31-17. Any thoughts on that game? 3rd loss by the 49ers.
Is Debo making that big a difference?
I have to say yes, because
crazy.
He's the one element out of the team that's been missing, because CMC is still in there. Although he tied the record by Lenny Moore with his 17th straight game by scoring a touchdown, I think that's just a consolation prize, because I'm sure he would have rather the 49ers had won the game instead of him scoring a touchdown. Any thoughts on the 49ers and your boy Brock Purdy at this time?
I think I jinxed him. I put my mouth on him too early. Pause.
Yeah, pause. Grandioso pause.
Yeah, man.
You spoke too soon.
I definitely spoke too soon.
But you know what, though, Ty? I have to say that every time a team gets crowned from week to week, like they're elite, they're this, they're that, they end up taking an L or a couple L's in a row in the 49ers case. Where do you think this leaves the 49ers right now, bro?
A lot of soul searching, man. They got to get it together. There's no way in the world you just fall off the map like that. I mean, I think other teams are seeing the blueprint, better coming, the teams that they're facing later on are coming with better game plans. And it seems like the primary one is stacking that box, man, shutting down McCaffrey and, making Ayuk and what's the tight end's name? Kittle.
George
Kittle. Let them be the ones, if anybody, that beat them in. And, at the same time you stacking that box, man, you're putting more pressure on Purdy. I don't know. Hopefully they'll get it together. They'll figure it out, man. But it's looking crazy right now, man. Total 180 for it to be. This is their third loss in a row.
Yeah, third.
That's crazy.
Once, twice, 3 times is a charm. So but a lot of people still have them ranked as one of the elite teams. And I think that you definitely have to take into account that Deebo Samuel is not in the lineup and not suiting up and on the field. And that is affecting their overall game, their ground game, their passing game, because he's a dual threat back along with CMC. But now they could key in on Christian McCaffrey and, try to shut him down. Once they shut him down, they make the 49ers offense one-dimensional.
Hey, real quick
highlights.
Real quick update. Bottom of the third, Rangers up 10-0.
Wow, explosive bats.
Crazy.
10-0?
Crazy. 10-0.
That's bananas. Who struck? Who struck? we gonna have to cover that.
We'll come back to that.
All right, definitely. Moving along, the Cowboys rout the Rams 43-20 in the mollywhopping with Dak and the Dallas offense showing up in a big way. 43-20. The Cowboys have the biggest point differential, whether they win or lose. They're like plus 27 when they win, and they're negative 22 when they lose. So it's either feast or famine with the Cowboys, who improved their record to 6-2. And they played the Eagles this coming weekend. Any thoughts on the Cowboys? BK Ty. All right. Well, Logic, let's take a look at those highlights. Until we can get BK Ty back in the mix. All right. So we experienced some technical difficulties trying to get BK Ty back on board. So we're going to move along. The Broncos pony up on the Chiefs, rising to the occasion like underdog with the upset win, 24-9. We got that one, Logic, the underdog theme on for the Broncos. I was watching that game, and I saw
when criminals in this world appear.
Yeah, I was watching that game, and I was like, the Broncos are really going to do it. They haven't beaten Patrick Mahomes in 12 tries. So the Broncos during Patrick Mahomes' tenure as the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs is now 1-12. And he had like some flu-like symptoms before the game. So it was a situation where there were some factors playing against the Kansas City Chiefs. And illness with Patrick Mahomes was definitely one of them. The Broncos pitched a shutout in the second half, and they held Patrick Mahomes tedious for the game, which is something that is hard to do. And they defeat Mahomes for the first time, as mentioned. That was crazy, man. I think we got some highlights of that while we trying to get BK Ty back in the mix. The Broncos defeating the Kansas City Chiefs. We got that?
Yep, right with you.
Thank you, brother.
And in this world, the headlines read of those whose hearts are filled with greed who rob and steal from those who need to right this wrong with blinding speed goes underdog, 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 underdog. Speed
they were definitely an underdog this weekend, man.
Mighty all who rob or plunder, underdog, underdog, underdog.
There we go.
Pardon the
you back
technical
in the mix?
difficulties, man. Pardon the
Yeah,
technical
I was like, where's
difficulties,
my partner
brother.
in crime at, man? So
The,
we definitely
Yeah, my laptop rebooted on me, man. I apologize about that. Pardon me, everybody.
no problem. We had the underdog upstart Broncos ponying up on the Kansas City Chiefs, beating them 24-9. Any thoughts on that game?
That was crazy, man. Like where has the Broncos defense been all season, man? You know, to come out like that, especially on an offensively sound team like Kansas City, man. That was a big W for Denver. Absolutely.
It definitely was. And they held Patrick Mahomes, your man Mahomie, TD-less in that game. No touchdowns.
That's crazy, man. Why they always want to do it to my fantasy players, man?
Oh, you got him on your fantasy squad?
Oh, gosh, man. I lost your boy from Cleveland, the running back, man, earlier this year.
Chubbs.
Yeah, man. I lost Chubbs, and now your man Mahomes is playing like I don't even know. But
he
yeah,
had
that
the
game
flu.
was crazy.
He had like flu. He had a flu game, they said.
Okay.
He had a flu game, but
that's right, because he did come out afterwards and he tried to say, you know, hey, that's I felt good when the game started. So he tried. I give him that much. You know, he definitely didn't try and cop out.
He didn't use that as an excuse, so to speak.
He did not. He did not. Somebody asked him about that. They asked him, like, hey, you know, we understand you were feeling under the weather, whatever. He was like, yeah, but, you know, he said, by the time I got out on the field and started warming up, I felt fine. So he was like, you know, he's not going to put it on that, which is honorable, it's noble. You know what I'm saying? Don't cop no please.
Right. He got picked off a couple times, and that's what it was. The Broncos just beat him. Where was this team all year?
Any given Sunday, right? I mean, well, it helps if the offense.
Sunday.
It helps if the offense that you're facing is not playing up to par. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That definitely.
And one
adds
thing
to
that
it.
was noticed was without Travis Kelce stepping up and having an out of this world game, the Kansas City offense is not as potent as it used to be. To your point that you made in the beginning of the season was that Eric Bieniemy is definitely his presence as the play caller, offensive coordinator, is definitely missed.
Kind of, sort of. You wonder, but yeah, you're right. You know, you definitely wonder how much not having Bieniemy calling the plays or contributing to that offensive scheme, how much that's playing into how non-dominant Kansas City is looking this season.
But their defense is better. They have no running game.
I think Kansas City's defense has always kind of been underrated, man. You know, Kansas City's defense is one of those teams. They're one of those teams where they rely on the offense, you know, throughout the season to get them where they need to be, get them in the postseason, and then their defense, you know, not world beaters by any stretch of the imagination, but they do step it up a notch. You know,
they have what they called a bend but don't break defense. But this year they said that this defense is the best defense that Patrick Mahomes has had, and they are taking some of the weight off of the offense, because when Kelce doesn't show up and have a Samson type performance, like The other receivers are dropping passes. I don't even know like what identity that they have on offense if you take Kelsey out of the mix. And
Right.
that was the point when they lost that first game to the Detroit Lions in the beginning of the season. So we're gonna have to definitely keep an eye on the Kansas City Chiefs and see if they take a fall, they take a skid and start racking up some L's, or if they bounce back next week. Moving along, the Battle of New York was the Medusa of ugly games, featuring the New York Football Giants versus the New York Jets. The Jets pipped the Giants 13-10 in one of the ugliest games that I've seen in a long time. It was rainy. It was ugly out
around,
there.
Man. All the way around, brother.
All the way around. There were 24 punts in the game, only 23 first downs. The Giants had -9 yardage. That was a terrible game, man.
It was, -8 in passing yards. Like, I think they said that's the first time since I can't remember what year that a team has finished a game with the negative passing yards. I was having a conversation with somebody who suggested that you should take an automatic L at the end of the game. You're gonna take an L anyway, but if you have negative yards, if you don't have any positive yards passing, like that should like be a strike against you in the game or something like that. You know,
wow.
That's crazy, but
how much worse can it get?
Tyrod,
got knocked out the game.
Like I said, 3, maybe 4 games, and then that's about the most you're going to get out of him, and then he's gone. I mean, it can happen to anybody, but when he was down, I was like, there it goes. We knew what time it was, man. But it's again, I think it's a domino effect, man. This is not like how we played last season. And yeah, last season we probably overachieved, but again, Daniel Jones has absolutely regressed to the point where I think that has affected other aspects of the team, defense, special teams as well. When you have one aspect, especially a major part like QB, that's not working right, then it kind of kills the enthusiasm of the rest of the team, and they don't go as hard. Look what happened when Tyrod came in. When hit that first game he started, man, they was playing hard. He was escaping sacks. He was, getting out of the pocket, scrambling for positive yardage. And I think that has a positive effect on the rest of the team, man. It makes everybody else play harder, man. The defense has been, before this Jets game, the defense has, started to, I won't say make a little noise, but played with some respectability the last couple of games. And then this game here, man, ugly is not the word, brother. Ugly is not the word.
The decision to go for the field goal towards the end of regulation, which led to the Jets being able to come back and tie the game. There goes your man Brees
the Beast.
I think that was like, what was it? 1 touchdown in this game?
Yep.
He
had one, and
Saquon had one?
No, our quarterback, DeVito.
Danny's DeVito, nephew. Right. Tommy DeVito out of New Jersey scored the other touchdown. So the decision to try to go for the field goal towards the end of regulation was that the right call in your estimation?
Absolutely.
In that weather, and Gano already missed one earlier in the game.
Listen, Gano is probably one of the surest things kicking the football, man. And again, I don't even want to say he's not trying, but it's kind of like, when you shoot pool and you're playing against somebody that's, either not taking the game seriously or not focused or not playing, and they just missing shots. Sometimes that carries over to you. That infects you. That makes you rush shots, not play as poised as you normally would, and the game can kind of get sloppy. So I think it's just a comedy of errors, and the poor play has just been infectious. It's just made everybody, that was a bad play. How you gonna scramble for the first down and you're gonna slide right in front, right before the first down line? It was, I would say it was frustrating, but it's not frustrating because it's not like I expected the Giants. I don't think any Giants fans had expectations of the Giants, making any noise in the playoffs or going deep in the playoffs. So, my rationale is when we look bad, the only time I'm really upset or that it really bothers me is if I know we are better than we're playing, man. You know what I'm saying?
Is this season done?
Is our season done? Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I don't think there's anything that nobody, myself, no other fans have any kind of faith in Daniel Jones at all.
So as a Giants fan, what's your message to the organization, man?
So now that is the frustrating part because every year we've made moves to shore up the offensive line and it doesn't look like it's paid any dividends at all. I think they said we picked an offensive lineman in every draft in the last 11 seasons, I think, or 10 or 11 seasons. And then, you got the Daniel Jones problem. I think until we get a better passer, put it this way. I said it to someone else. Daniel Jones will be spending the second half of the season playing for his job, more or less.
He's cleared to play on this weekend, Sunday.
From my understanding, he was cleared to play this past Sunday.
But they had him on the injured list on Friday. And from what I understand, once you declare the person ineligible by Friday, even if they're cleared after Friday, they can't play on Sunday. So that's what that was. So Giants.
I guess I feel, at first I was kind of feeling bad for Dable because, for Daniel Jones to be playing as crappy as he was compared to how he played last year, that's really making the coach look bad. But then when you have everybody else, the offensive line, the defense can't tackle, special teams making bonehead
plays.
Be
balking on the team, man.
And now your surefire kicker missing chip shots.
Well, Gable wasn't too happy about that, man. And he definitely wears his emotions on his sleeve. And he balks and berates his players there during the game, bro.
But you know what? Somebody made mention. Matter of fact, I was talking about
the morale is terrible, man.
One of my brothers is a Giants fan. Shout out. What up, Tito? And he was saying that it's past the point now. Like Dable, Brian Dable is more like a rah-rah. Let's go, boys. Like that kind of coach. And he was saying it's not completely an indictment on Dable, but Dable needs to be more of an X's and O's guy. He needs to focus more on X's and O's and strategy as opposed to, encouraging his players, the rah-rah, getting them emotionally riled up and making them overachieve. You got to plan better. And I'm starting to see that.
He does not really boost the morale of the players. Like anytime his players make mistakes, I see he just goes and balks on them, and he doesn't try to bring them out of that play. Because you make a bad play, you make a mistake during the game, you have to move on because there's more game to play. But he takes their head with all that screaming and cussing on the sideline.
I won't hold it against Dable too much because at the end of the day, man, one player can change your fortunes, man. You got one all-world player in there that can rise above the nonsense, and then to my point, it makes other people play a little harder. I'm saying if we had that player, we don't. But if we had him,
Saquon. But they undervalue Saquon.
It's not Saquon, man. It's not Saquon, yo.
They played better since Saquon has returned.
Saquon is
they were terrible when Saquon was gone. Now they're at least competitive.
He's more versatile. He's definitely more of a threat, and he takes more of the defense's attention. But I got to be honest with you. I don't know if it's our line or whatever, but I don't see Saquon, well, not this season anyway. And then when you add the injuries on top of that, Saquon is not really an exceptional running back to me, man.
I'd have to disagree on that. But let's move along and talk about the Jets. Zach Wilson, he didn't win the game for the Jets, but he didn't lose the game for them either. And he made some pretty good plays. And he threw the ball to Garrett Wilson. He targeted him and he put up 100 yards receiving. So Garrett Wilson was definitely a beast. And the penalties, the Giants are just not in a good mental headspace. And it starts with the coaching. Gable, get it together. We're going to move along from the Giants and the battle of the New York Futility Bowl, moseying along with the rest of the docket for week 7. Thursday, we had the Bills besting the Buccaneers 24-18. We also had the Vikings over the Packers 24-10. In that game, Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles. And that's what I was saying at the beginning of the year when Aaron Rodgers went out, that the NFL has to stop being cheap and go ahead and replace the artificial turf with grass turfs so that these injuries could be reduced and minimized. There were like 13 substitute or backup quarterbacks playing this past weekend, which I've never seen anything like that in the NFL. So I think they have to definitely revisit that. And the Players Association has to definitely politic and advocate to have the fields natural instead of artificial turf. What are your thoughts on that?
I think I heard the figure at $15 million per season to have a crew come in and maintain, or $15 million a year to have a crew maintain a natural grass field. And, you know, bottom line, that's an expense that the owners don't want. Especially if, hey, man, you can play, toughen up. You can play on grass. You know, that's their mentality. But to your point, you know, the players have to take a stand. Shoot, in a Giants game alone, I think, and I know they were not all due to the turf, but I think there were 7 or 8 players hurt in the Giant-Jets game on Sunday. You know, some of them, I think the turf definitely influenced or impacted. I think the majority of the injuries, of the non-contact injuries this season, can be attributed to having to play on turf. But again, that's an uphill battle that they'll be fighting with the owners, because at the end of the day, it's the owners that have to foot the bill for that.
They got it, man.
I think it'll be. Isn't Green Bay is a natural field, right? Green Bay.
They were playing on turf.
Green Bay is turf. No, I think Green Bay is natural grass. Isn't Chicago also? I think they got a couple of.
They got a couple, but they don't have enough, though. They don't have enough.
Yeah,
there's too many injuries that's taking place.
Not even just that, but players have complained about, you know, the impact from falling constantly. You know, taking hits when you hitting the turf. That turf is not as giving as natural grass.
Well, Tyrod Taylor got injured on that.
Exactly. That's how he hurt his ribs. So
C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson from the Colts.
Yeah, I think that's
hit his head on the turf after coming out of concussion protocol.
I think that's an issue that, to your point,
has to be addressed.
The Players Association has to take that up with the league, and you know they got to force these owners' hands, because at the end of the day, it's the owners that got to foot that bill.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know, man. Hopefully it's something that they'll seriously consider.
I hope they do, man. Hope they do, to cut down on the injuries. Continuing on the slate of games, the score was Tennessee Titans in the throwback Houston Oilers jerseys, 28 over the Atlanta Falcons, who put up 23 in that game, which was a back and forth game. And I thought the Falcons were going to pull it out, but unfortunately they ran out of time. The Saints, 38-27 over the Colts. The Dolphins beat the Patriots 31-17. The Jaguars continue in a hard-hitting defensive matchup versus the Steelers, and they win that battle 20-10. The Eagles, barely. They had their hands full with Sam Howell and the Commanders, 38-31. And the Eagles, their defense is not as formidable as they were last year. They're giving up quite a few points, and they faced the Cowboys, who's coming off a high explosive offensive game this past weekend. So they better be ready.
Is that game on Sunday or Monday?
It's on Sunday. 4 o'clock.
Is that the prime? Oh, it's the 4 o'clock game. Wow.
4 o'clock game.
All right. It's not the primetime game.
Yeah. Panthers over the Texans 15-13. We have the
finally got a dub. Shout out to my man CC, my man Curry.
Who?
My man Chris Curry. He's a Panthers fan. My man's from North Carolina. Panthers finally got their first dub of the season.
That's a dedication to love, man. The ride with a 1-6 team. So definitely shout out. Seahawks 24-20 over the Browns. And we had the Ravens looking good. Even though they played a subpar team in the Cardinals, they still were clicking 31-24 in that victory. Yep. And we had the Chargers over the Bears 30-13. Any thoughts on Week 7's games?
Aside from no real thoughts other than my Giants suck. The Jets ain't too much better, but they find a way to pull out certain games.
Yeah, we gave them enough burn in their segment, man. What about the power rankings? The battle of futility, man. We covered that enough, bro. That I started to just, get like anxiety just hearing about that game. We're gonna put that in the vault. I don't think we're ever gonna talk about that game ever again, unless we talk.
We don't need to. You're right. We don't need to.
We don't need to, man. What about your power rankings?
My power rankings.
Yeah, NFL top 5 right now.
I think number 1 we got Detroit. We got to give Detroit their
They're
props.
number 1.
I think Philly. Sorry, Philly's number 1.
Okay.
Detroit number 2.
Over the 49ers?
Yeah, they're playing better right now. They're playing better right now. They're clicking, man.
Detroit beat the Raiders last night, but that wasn't the Raiders aren't.
Yeah, it wasn't a real test, but you beat the teams that are in front of you. 10? You beat the teams in front of you and aren't.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put them over the 49ers because they beat the Raiders yesterday.
Yeah, but the 49ers took 3 straight L's, man. So regardless of what the cause of that is, you got to respect. Like right now, if you would have put if the 49ers and Detroit played each other right now, would you pick the 49ers over Detroit?
Yes.
You would?
I would. Yep. I would.
Okay.
Because I think the 49ers arise to the occasion. I think right now they played a Bengal team whose defense is underrated, and the quarterback, Joe Cool Burrow, has recovered from that calf injury that had him hobbled during the beginning of the season. And I think they're trending on an upward path. They're going to be a problem. I don't think any team is going to want to face the Bengals, regardless of their record right now, even though they're 4-3, 2-2, 2 at home, 2 away. So I don't know. I don't think you want to see the Bengals. So I kind of take that into consideration, who they played, and then also that the Lions played the Raiders. The Raiders aren't formidable. You got Devontae Adams still complaining and whining. He was on the set talking about he doesn't want to say anything so he doesn't get in trouble or say the wrong thing. The team is just frustrated. Once again, they're not in a proper headspace to win games unless it's a team that's playing worse than they are, and not too many teams are playing worse than the Raiders right now. It doesn't even sound right. Las Vegas Raiders, as opposed to Oakland Raiders. Oakland Raiders. Then you had Los Angeles Raiders. I could deal with that more than now you go into Las Vegas. I don't know, man. Moving along, man, from the NFL, unless you got anything to add.
Miami, Baltimore, Jacksonville, and Kansas City are all 6-2 right now.
Okay, so who's your pick?
Who's my pick?
Out of those 6-2 teams. You said Baltimore? Miami,
Baltimore, Miami,
Jaguars.
Jacksonville, KC.
Okay.
Or in the AFC are all 6-2.
Right.
Detroit is the other 6-2 team in the NFC. And of course, you got Philly with one loss, leading everybody in the league.
Dallas is 6-2 also, or they had a bye week.
Dallas had a bye.
So they play the Eagles this weekend. So we definitely going to see who's the better team between the Eagles and the Cowboys.
The cream of the black and blue division.
Right, the beast of the East, because they're both in the NFC East. So we definitely going to see who's the better of the two teams. So out of those 6-2 teams from the AFC East, I think I would still take the Chiefs right now.
I agree.
I still would take the Chiefs unless Patrick Mahomes doesn't recover from that flu.
Right. Unless that flu is a season-long flu.
Right. Unless he's in the COVID protocol or something, I'd still take Kansas City. But their receivers got to step up and play better, though. I definitely have to admit to that. They are dropping too many passes.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I definitely would take Kansas City amongst those 6-2 teams. Then I would have to definitely take the Baltimore Ravens, then the Miami Dolphins. Well, matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to take the Ravens, then the Jaguars, then the Dolphins. I think the Jaguars
third. Wow.
I think the Jaguars are they're playing a more balanced game on both sides of the ball.
I think I said that last week, but you told me it was the teams they were playing.
I didn't say the Jaguars.
Yeah, I told you they was the hottest team in the league.
We're going to have to pull up the tapes. I agree with you on that.
Where's the replay flag? Let me throw the replay.
I said, Trevor Lawrence and them boys been balling. Nah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, it must have been somebody else.
I didn't go against that. I said
somebody else.
I said I'm not going to put them as number one. I said I ain't going to put them as number one in the AFC yet until I see what they do against either Baltimore or the Kansas City Chiefs. I gave the Jaguars their props. They're no joke right now. True. Definitely no joke right now. And then the NFC, the Eagles are the beast of the East, and they're the cream of the crop over there. Right now, I would have to see how they perform against the Cowboys before I kind of know where to put the Cowboys at. Because like I said, when they win, it's feast. When they lose, it's famine. So I have to see more consistency from the Cowboys, and I have to see that offense play and on that high level and click on all cylinders like they were last week. If they can perform and put up, let's say, 28 to 31 points on the Eagles, which is very much possible because Sam Howell did it, I think they definitely stand a chance to win. What's your prediction on that Eagles versus Cowboys game?
I think y'all going to lose, but I would take that loss now as opposed to towards the end of the season. But, again, any given Sunday, so anything can happen. And like you mentioned, man, Dallas is riding on a high right now. And Philly's defense, to your point, is not looking like the world beaters that they once were. So that'll definitely be, hopefully, fingers crossed, that's a good game, man.
They're definitely vulnerable, the Philadelphia Eagles defense. I predict that game would be 31-27 Cowboys. Let's go. We're moving along from
Let's go, because F the Eagles,
NFL,
baby. Let's go.
NFL helmet to helmet, man. Reaching the summit. We're backpedaling like Travis Hunter, covering the route through the week slate of NCAA football games. Week 9, we had a few underdogs that rose to the occasion. Shaw Logic, man. We got that underdog joint, man. Thank you, sir. The first unranked team was KU. Kansas City University defeated number 6 Oklahoma 38-33. Tearing down the goalposts and throwing it in the river. That's how long they have not had a major victory over a ranked team. Any thoughts on that upset?
That's the way you do it. You beat them and then you tear them goalposts down. Take it home.
Drag it into town.
You drag it in the middle of the biggest intersection in the city and drop it right there, bro.
They dragged it to the river. That's what they did, man. That's what they did. 38-33. That was a good victory for them. But what I've noticed is even good teams, when their defense does not show up and the other team scores more than 28 points, they any team stands a chance to lose.
You're right. That's Oklahoma's first loss, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
So I think they're still good for the season. First loss, and they only lost by 5 points.
Well, they're ranked number 11 right now.
Yeah, that's a drop. That's a drop. They out of the top 10, but I think they'll get it together.
The new standings just came out today, and they're ranked number 11.
Yeah.
The other upset that took place was Arizona Wildcats. Did you see that game?
I didn't. But over Oregon State, correct?
Correct. Who was ranked number 11.
Right. Where are they now?
They took them out 27-24.
In this world, the headlines read of those whose hearts are filled with greed.
They definitely took an L right there.
Wrong with blinding speed goes underdog.
Underdog. That was my cartoon too.
That was one of my favorite joints too, man.
Sure.
Early morning. Also, among the underdogs, we had the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech edging number 17 ranked North Carolina Tar Heels 46-42.
Knocked them out the top 25 and gave them their first L.
That was definitely an upset. What do you think about the chances of North Carolina Tar Heels bouncing back and making the playoffs?
I think they got a good chance, man. They got a strong team this year, but I think they'll make a bowl game. But yeah, that definitely bouncing them out of the top 25 kind of hurt. But I think they were overachieving this season anyway.
You think so?
I think so, man.
Oklahoma Sooners usually has a strong program, so we definitely going to keep our eye on that team and see what the Sooners do for the duration of the season. Rounding out the top 25 scores from Week 9, we had number 1 Georgia Bulldogs doubling up the Gators of Florida, 43-20. Any thoughts on that game?
Georgia's always a tough team.
Beck threw for 315 yards, 2 touchdowns, keeping his name in the hat for the Heisman. Moving along, we have number 1 ranked Ohio State now. They're number 1 ranked right now. They ousted Wisconsin 24-10.
Yeah, I hope Ohio State and Michigan, keep it up towards the end of the season, man. That's definitely one of the best college football rivalries, man, and I'm looking forward to seeing both of them in a bowl game towards the end of the year.
Yep.
Let your man Harbaugh get one last bowl game before they get his ass up out of it.
You think he's out?
I don't think so, man. I mean, he served that one suspension, and they can't really pin the whole.
He denies any knowledge.
He denies it. They can't prove it. And then I heard there's other teams that they like. I think TCU is another team that got accused of stealing signs or plays or videotaping or something like that. So, yeah, but shouts out to Harbaugh, man.
Well, they had a bye week and they were still in the news.
Yeah,
so we definitely gonna keep our eye on the Michigan Wolverines, who are currently ranked number 3. Florida State, who was ranked number 4 over Wake Forest, 41-16. Washington, who was ranked number 5, 42-33 over Stanford. We already covered Oklahoma. Moving along, Texas, who's ranked number 7, 35-6 over BYU. Oregon over Utah, 35-6. Penn State, 33-24 over Indiana. Ole Miss, 33, who broke into the top 10 this week, 33-7 over Vanderbilt. Notre Dame mollywop Pittsburgh 58-7. That was a killing right there. Louisville shuts out Duke 23-0. Gave them the egg for the game. And they shut them out.
Yeah.
All 4 quarters. That was stellar defense right there. My alma mater, Air Force, who's ranked number 19, 30-13 over Colorado State. Tennessee 33-27 over Kentucky. Tulane 30 over Rice, who had 28 points. Colorado Buffaloes took another L to UCLA and Chip Kelly, 28-16. And USC pipped California 50-49. Now that's winning by a slight margin. That's 1 point right there. And James Madison over Old Dominion, 30-27. Now back to the Michigan Wolverines drama, man. Your man Connor Stallion allegedly went to about 35 games during the course of the last several seasons, and they have him on video, and they're having a lot of witnesses roll up and testify. What do you think about this situation here?
Is that the
Is
one
it
about
that
the sign
serious?
stealing?
Is it that serious?
I mean, I wouldn't think so, because I was always under the impression that, teams scouted each other. I didn't realize until this past weekend that, there are rules in place by the NCAA that,
bylaws
forbids.
1111.1. Oh, excuse me. Bylaw 1111.6.1 and bylaw 1111.6.2 covers that. And in that, they said that you cannot go there with technology with the intent to film another team ahead of the match or game when you play them.
Yeah,
Ahead of any matchup.
I don't even understand that, because all the games, you can get game film for any game that's played to examine it. I guess maybe it's the calls on the sideline. They don't want you videotaping the sideline signs,
The
that
signals,
they're
that's where they're coming
signals.
from with that.
Yeah.
Because the formations and everything, I guess when you're there in person in real time, I guess you can pick up certain nuances from the team, the signals. But then when you're when let's say we're on the sideline, let's say we're coaching a football game, you have 3 people on the sideline and you can have one person giving out fake signs. And then someone has the real sign, or, like one thing could be the trigger or the precursor sign. Like I could do a whole bunch of signs on the sideline, but if I don't touch the top of my hat or tip my hat, all of it is just for show. So unless I give the signal, the trigger signal, which is the tip of the hat, you can go and follow the signs all day, but I guess that's what they were looking for. I think that because it's a rule, there's going to be some sort of punishment levied, but I think they don't really know how to punish Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines.
But I mean, do they have proof that it was something that Harbaugh put people up to?
I mean, even if they don't find that he had intent, that he intentionally sent his staff to do this, he's going to get blamed. He's going to be responsible because he's the head coach. And they're going to say, just like they did with Rick Pitino. Was it Rick Pitino when he was with Louisville? Like, you cannot be the head coach of the team and be so negligent and not know that all of these things are going on or this is taking place. So they kind of giving him, like, you should have known. And because you should have known, you should have put a stop to it. So Harbaugh is going to face a punishment. You think he's going to the NFL?
It happened under my watch kind of thing, huh?
Basically. Like, he's in charge.
I mean, it depends on how guilty they find him. You know what I'm saying? How much involvement he had, because just for it happening under his watch, I don't know how severe you can make the penalty unless you can prove or unless there's some type of evidence that it was something that he not only knew about but may have encouraged. Under those circumstances, yeah, I don't think he could take another violation. I think after that, Michigan would just be like, look, man, we gonna have to move on, dog.
I think if it was that serious, they would have taken immediate action because they're dragging it out so long.
Yeah, they don't want it to interfere with the season. They don't want it. They're trying not to let it interfere with the season, so they're dragging it out. And in the grand scheme of things, I don't, I can't say it's no big deal because, to your point, the NCAA has instituted rules forbidding that type of action. But I don't know. I just don't see how. I can't see a head coach losing his job over something like that if you can't prove that it was something that he encouraged or started or whatever.
Well, the investigation is ongoing, so more facts will surface, and as those facts surface, we'll get more insight onto the whole Michigan sign stealing scandal. Moving along, Coach Prime is still critical of his players, calling out his offensive line during a press conference. Can we hear what he said?
And then deliver like I always do, week in and week out, and taking the beating that he's taking. And then we got to address that. We got to address that scheme-wise. We got to address that functionally with what we have on the line, and we just got to do a better job. We really do.
Coach, you mentioned the coaching aspect of it as well.
Yes, sir.
Specifically with the offensive line, I mean, what has to improve in that aspect besides from
the line? The line has improved. It ain't no aspect. The line has improved. Yeah.
At one point, he said that he just has to just replace the offensive line.
Yeah.
Which he's got critics every week. I mean, one thing about Coach Prime is that he's got critics every week because a lot of other head coaches in the college football ranks think that he received his coaching positions too fast and he's not deserving of those positions. So he gets some animosity from other coaches in the college ranks. So everything that he does is always under a microscope. And one thing to your point that you said about his coaching style, he coaches more like a NFL coach. And he's very critical. Like he said, he's going to replace his offensive line next year. Like that's mainly what an NFL coach would say, as opposed to a college coach.
I'll say, it's something. There is some credit to be given for, as they say, keeping it real. But I think too, at one point, criticizing your players is not the way to encourage or inspire them, or especially doing it publicly. So I don't even understand. We had a discussion about that. I told you how I feel about.
He's not the only coach though that does that.
I think to the point that I mentioned before.
Here's the part where he said about the comment he made about the offensive line.
Really do.
Coach, you mentioned the coaching aspect of it as well.
Yes, sir.
Specifically with the offensive line, I mean, what has to improve in that aspect besides from
the line? The line has improved. It ain't no aspect. The line has improved. Yeah.
And I think he's taking it a little personal because Shadour's his son.
Yeah.
And his son is taking a beating.
That is a struggle for you guys right
now. Yeah, but to his point, man, you got to scheme for that. If you know your offensive line is only so good, get some more schemes where he gets out of the pocket, where he's not standing. The other thing, too, is he's standing in there.
That's easier said than done, though.
But another thing is he's in there standing in there taking sacks so as not to mess up, or somebody suggested that he's staying in there taking sacks so as not to mess up his passing percentage or something to that effect.
Those are the type of things you don't want to do and get behind the eight ball. First downs are so vital. First downs are everything. I mean, first downs are when we held them statistically on first downs, it was hard for them to move the ball as well. And when we're getting negative yards on first down, that's a tremendous loss. Because now you're going to throw the ball on second down.
Yeah.
They're calling their defenses pertaining to that loss.
Yeah, when you get behind on first down, man, it's hard.
The big picture, you go get new linemen.
See,
That's it.
that's kind of what I kind of had a problem with, man. You know, like I can dig it, man. You know, you basically calling out your O-line. You basically saying, yeah, my O-line is trash. And the way
Either they're going to step up or they're going to step down.
I dig that, man, but
One
I
or
don't
the
know,
other,
man.
bro. It's a competition game, bro.
I understand
no
that, but I think there's certain
no
things you
room
keep in the locker
for-
room or you keep in house.
But he's not the only coach. All coaches do it. The
All
majority
college
of
coaches say that we need to replace our running back
Well,
or
they're
we
not
need to
gonna-
replace our
They're not going to
linebackers.
parrot his words word for word. Come on, let's be serious here. But all coaches call out their teams.
Yeah, you call out
necessary.
saying so and so has to do
I just
better
think
or we
that
need
there's
better
a
play from
microscope.
whatever. But to come out and blatantly
But let me ask you
blatantly
this:
say,
is he the only coach that calls out his team?
definitely not.
All
But
right,
he's the
so
only
my point-
he's the
my
only coach
point
that
then-
calls his team out
My
the way he
point
does.
is this:
To say you
he
to get
is
on a
under
dais and say you
microscope.
need to
All right,
replace
so
players.
what other coaches do you watch week in and week out to see what they're saying
First
and
of all,
doing?
other coaches don't even get
Hold
the
on, hold on,
platform
hold on.
that Deion gets like that.
Answer the question, because my
What?
point is to your answer. He's not the only coach doing it, correct?
He's
But
not
he's
the
the
only
only
coach that
coach.
calls out subpar play.
Nah, he.
But
is
I've
not
never
the
heard
only
another
that
coach
does that.
say. I've never heard another coach say we need to replace this.
Well, they're
or
not
we
going to
need
say
replace that.
exactly word for word what he's going to say, but
I've
they
never
have
even heard
been
anybody
critical of their
paraphrasing or
teams.
suggesting that.
They have. Listen to Nick Saban. Matter of fact, Nick Saban calls out his team a lot.
Calls them
Chip
out how?
Kelly, when they need to be called out, when they
Calls them out how?
need to
Now,
improve
when?
their
And
play.
when? How? What does he do? How does he do it?
During a press conference, just like Coach Brown does.
So
We gonna-
Saban and Chip Kelly says, you know, our
They
tight
don't say
ends,
the exact same
our
words.
tight ends
Nah,
ain't playing good, so we need to get
They're
better
critical
tight
of
ends.
their team.
It's
they're
one thing to be
critical of their
critical, but
team.
it's another thing to blatantly say my tight end
think you
sucks.
just-
I need to replace my tight end.
I
Once
think
I
Coach
replace my
Prime
tight
just
end,
has
we'll
a target on
play
his
better.
back, and I'll
We'll play
never.
better.
Because the problem I have with your stance is this: you act as if Coach Prime is the only coach that calls out his players, and you may want to add, well, he doesn't do it like this, they don't do it like that, but I don't hear you mention any other coach. And
It's
that's
one,
the
like I said,
problem
it's
that I
one
have.
thing to criticize a player, but it's something totally different to come right out and blatantly say, yeah, well, these guys ain't good enough. So what we have to do to fix it is get better guys.
Well,
I've
maybe
never
that's
heard,
the
I've
reality.
never heard a coach say that. Not during the season, anyway.
But we're gonna have to take a look into that. We're gonna keep an eye on Coach Prime and see what he does this coming week. Continuing on with Sports in the City, live from the arena on the Irant Network via Sports in the City TV. Also on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Round ball around the world. What, we gonna keep arguing about Coach Prime? We gotta move on, bro.
No, I'm looking at Ja's comment. He said, look how Coach Prime is looking at me.
Oh, oh, okay. Round ball around the world. We're dribbling strong to the hole, slicing and dicing through the week. NBA week 1, man. I definitely have to call out your man James Harden again. He gets dealt to the Clippers. Any thoughts on that?
I'm glad it's finally over. I think he would have been better suited with the Lakers, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, so that makes me wonder if Harden was really he's really looking to win a chip, or if he, you know, just wanted to go home and then plus be able to hang out with his boys on top of that. You think Harden going to the Clippers, you think the Clippers have a better chance of going to the finals with Harden than the Lakers would have with Harden?
I think it's better without Harden.
You think who's better without Harden?
The 76ers.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Addition by
Well,
subtraction. It's definitely addition by subtraction.
His whole energy was not suitable.
Right.
to be with the team and traveling with the team.
Right.
You don't want a pariah. You got it. When you got a pariah, you got a sore. You got to get rid of the cancer.
I'll say this much as
It's
far
just
as
gonna
him,
grow.
as far as him going to the Clippers. I think it's good from the standpoint that you can't rely on Kawhi or PG to be available for the whole season. They're more postseason guys. James Harden is a guy who historically has shit the bed in the postseason. Well, except for last year. You know, he kind of, you know, he definitely helped out Embiid a little bit. But I think this is a great match because Harden can, you know, do what he does to help get the team through the regular season. You know, I mean, say what you want about James Harden. Dude is still capable of 20 and 7 on an off night, you know, with enough touches, 20.7 assists on an off night. I think who this might affect negatively is
West Boogie
is Brody. Yeah, man, Russell Westbrook. You know, we'll see what this does to him because he's another guy that, you know, he's not a spot up shooter. Harden is not a spot up shooter. You know,
he's a better shooter than Westbrook.
He absolutely is, but you know, like I said, it remains to be seen how this is going to work out, man. But like I said,
definitely they're going to have to get the chemistry together in the LA Clippers. So you have Kawhi, PG, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. Except for Kawhi, none of them have a chip. So you think they can put their differences to the side and play some team ball and contend for a chip? Because I think this is the last go around for this, especially for Westbrook and Harden. They've been going from team to team to team to team. Like, bro, stay in one place and try to contend for a chip or whatever you got, or try to improve upon what you got. But stop moving around and holding the team hostage. I'm definitely in the mind frame that James Harden, I think that's his last hurrah for me. Unless he enters free agency.
I think for all four of them. Because also PG and Harden are in the last year of their deals.
Right.
You know, so this is definitely a make or break season for both of those guys.
So the effects of this trade on the Sixers, do you think it's going to be positive?
Yeah,
they
man.
got rid of Harden?
They just stocked their bench basically. It's the
Right,
Maxey and Embiid show,
right.
and you know I think the biggest question mark with regards to Philly and how well they'll do post Harden trade is how well the role players that they got, how well they hold up. You know, because some of these guys are up there. You know, Nick Batum, Markieff Morris.
Right.
You know, these guys are not spring chickens, but
it solidifies their bench though and gives them some experience.
Absolutely, it gives them a lot of depth, a lot of veteran experience.
Right. So they solidify that number 3 slot in the East.
I think so.
I agree. I
think so.
I agree. What about with the Clippers? What is that leave them? I think to me it's a chemistry issue right now. What do you think?
Well, you know, like I said, to my point, I think you got a guy in Harden who said it? It was Stephen A. Stephen A. Smith. This morning, he said, you know, with all of these guys healthy, it's definitely a big question mark. But if any one of them go down, it could potentially be a blessing in disguise because it's less guys you got to worry about, you know, who gets the rock, who takes this shot,
right?
You know, that kind of thing. But to your point with Kawhi, with PG, with Russ, with Harden, you know, that's a lot of guys that are used to having the rock in their hands that, you know, you got to figure out now who are going to be the, for lack of a better way,
make the playoffs.
Who are going to be the support players? Huh?
Do they make the playoffs, the Clippers?
I think so.
We're in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, I still don't think they're top. Well,
top 3, top tier yet.
I say top
5,
top 4 or 5, man. Top 4.
Okay.
Or 5.
All right, so we're gonna keep an eye on them. Another note that was interesting was LeBron James and KD face off for the first time in years. And that was a game that was interesting to me because you remember them when they played when they were younger. And now that they're older, even though that they've gotten older, not too much has changed. They both were dominant in what they do. And I definitely liked at the end of the game, even though Phoenix won without what was it, Bradley Beal, and I think Devin Booker was out for that game also.
Right.
But what touched me at the end of the game was when LeBron James and Kevin Durant, showed each other love at the end of the game, man. That was a classic moment.
Right.
Yo, Ja Logic, do we have that footage? Yeah, check it out.
First time both of them have been on the court, I think, since 2018 or 19.
Yeah, at least 5 years.
Right.
That almost brought a tear to my eye, man. You know why? Because we're watching two of the all-time greats. And I know you and I have went back on several debates over the years, or in different threads or whatever. Regardless of where we think they stand as their position, 1, 2, 3, or wherever, to see both of them in the twilight of their careers and playing on the same court, man, those are classic moments that we have to embrace and really realize, like, we're not going to be able to see that too much longer.
Changing of the guard, man.
Right. In the next 3 to 5 years, we might not see a KD and a LeBron James on the same court ever again. So we have to embrace those moments. And the other thing that stood out to me this week, besides the Denver Nuggets, who are off to an incredible start at 4-0, which is surprisingly for a returning champion. Most teams who've won the chip the previous year don't always get off to a good start, but they're off to a 4-0 start. The Joker tied LeBron James for 107 triple doubles in his career, which is insane for the amount of time that the Joker has played.
Correct.
What are your thoughts on the Joker?
He's a beast. I don't think he's the best player in the league, like everybody was calling him last year, off the strength of him being the best player on the team that won the chip. Mm-hmm. But definitely a top, just from what he brings, to the game. He's an average, not even an average. He's probably
average athlete.
No, I wasn't gonna say that. I was gonna say a defender. He's probably not even an average defender.
He plays within the system.
He plays within the system,
But as far as an athlete, he doesn't have a lot of hops. He's not that fast.
He's not fast. Nope.
But
he's strong because of his size. He's crafty. He's crafty.
He's very cerebral. And he reads the floor very well. Definitely. And he gets into the rhythm of the game. And he plays that high post, like how Wilt Chamberlain and Willis Reed and Bill Russell, those old-time centers used to play, and hold the rock and find the cutter and either take it, to the hole, make a move, or find the open man. And he's playing that at such a high level. It's incredible.
And it's still a relatively young team. So,
right.
And I think getting KCP back was a big feather in their cap. Underrated player for them.
Definitely. Another stalwart for the season so far is Steph Curry, who goes home alone on the court. He gave your man a facial. What's your man on the Rockets? I think
Dylan Brooks. Oh, he made
Dylan Brooks.
He made him look. Oh man. Yeah.
He kills it.
Yeah, he had my man on skates. He had my man on skates, the pogo stick, the trampoline.
Terrible. He did the home alone. I think he dropped 42 in that game.
Yeah.
So do you think he's going to be able to continue that level of play?
It's going to be tough, man. I think Golden State's fortunes lie in their bench. The young players, they gotta step it up, they're getting good play from their bench, you know, but at the same time, the team as a whole, their premier players are old, man. So injuries are really, you know, health is going to decide how far Golden State goes this year.
That's a key factor. I think it's how they handle their strengths as their weaknesses. Their strength being their ability to shoot, their quickness, especially with CP3, and he came off the bench with the second unit in the previous game. But their lack of size is their weakness. It depends on how they can deal with that. But if they keep shooting the way that they're shooting, and Steph keeps playing at that level, that's the problem, though, that it's an 82-game season, and eventually the course of the season is going to wear down on Steph. So they definitely have to. I think they're going to make some moves before the trade deadline.
Yeah, they definitely got to rely. They got to rely on that. They got to rely on that bench more if they're gonna have any postseason, any deep postseason success. They definitely got to get their bench going earlier in the season and not rely so much on the starters like they typically do. You know, the other guys, the Kumingas, the Wiggins. Wiggins starts, but you know the Kumingas and the Moody's and cats like that. You know, even GP Jr. You know, these guys they're gonna have to give good quality productive minutes for Golden State to really have a chance. But you know, I think they're a good team.
It's early.
It's definitely early.
They're gonna develop them. It's early in the season. Moving along from round ball around the world, we go to the ice and the guts of ice. The NHL got the Boston Bruins out to an incredible 8-0 start. And then you got your Golden Knights off to a 9-0 start. They're the front runners so far. But again, like the NBA, the NHL has an 82-game season. So it's a lot of games that are yet to be played. The Rangers are off to a 6-2 start. So we got some teams that are going to be vying for contention, but definitely have to take a moment of silence. Rest in peace to Adam Johnson, the former Penguin, dies after being iced by a skate across the neck.
Damn.
Yeah, condolences to the Johnson family, his loved ones, his former teammates. That's crazy. When I heard that, I was like, wow. You get cut across the neck with the blade from a skate. Playing a game that you love. That's a dangerous game.
Hockey? Come on, dude. The refs watch you fight. I mean, I'm sorry to make fun, you know, in this serious moment or whatever, but yeah, man.
Right.
The refs watch you fight, so.
Yeah, salute Adam Johnson, RIP. So we're going to move along. Moving along, we're going to the Monsters of the Week, including some usual suspects and some new additions. Any Monsters of the Week that stood out for you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Scott Van Pelt, and I'm gonna say the Jets punter.
The Jets punter. Can we get out our Monsters? Definitely Adolis Garcia from the Rangers.
No
Corey
doubt.
Seager, Merrill
Oh,
Kelly,
shout out to
John
Will
Gray,
Levis.
John Gray, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, who also did the backflip, George Kittle, Dak with his 4 TDs, CMC, who ties the record for most touchdowns in consecutive games, tying Lenny Moore's 17, CD Lamb, who had a stellar performance, Deron Bland, who had his 3rd pick 6 for the season, which is a Cowboys record. You had your man Russell Wilson putting 3 touchdowns up on the Kansas City Chiefs. Saquon Barkley, who had over 100 yards. The Jets and the Giant Hunters, who definitely were the most valuable players for that game. You mentioned Will Levis, Derrick Henry, who had over 100 yards. DeAndre Hopkins had a monster game. Rashid Shaheed, Jalen Hurts, Sam Howell. The boy can ball when he gets protection. So A.J. Brown breaks the record, which is he has 6 consecutive games with over 125 yards and at least 2 touchdowns, which is bananas. He's a beast. Definitely. Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Penix Jr. Yo. Oh, I thought we got to go into, almost forgot, the top 5 NBA rookies of the 2000s is BK Todd's top 5.
For sure. So let's get into that top 5 this week. This week's top 5, like Reed just mentioned, is the top 5 number 1 NBA draft picks since the year 2000. We'll start off with number 5, Yao Ming, the beast from the Far East, the 8-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA player who came in and definitely dominated. Well, I won't say dominated, but he definitely held his own as soon as he came in the league after 5 years playing in the Chinese basketball league. A career 19-9 with 2 blocks in the NBA, and had his jersey retired by the Rockets in 2017, number 11, after his career was cut short. I think he only played 8 seasons in the league, but was definitely a dominant big man. Coming in at number 4, also who was a rookie of the year for 2012, we got Kyrie Irving, career 23, 4, and 6. That's 6 assists, 3-time All-NBA player, 8-time All-Star, and has a chip in 2016. As a matter of fact, a lot of people would consider him the reason that Cleveland won that chip in 2016 with the stellar performance that he put on against Golden State. Coming in at number 3, we have the 2012 number 1 pick, 8-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA first teamer, 3-time block champ, and a career 24 and 10 rebounds. And many consider the prototypical big man, 2-way player. The only knock on this guy is his nickname is Mr. Glass. That's right. We're talking about number 3. We're talking about Anthony Davis coming in at number 3 for the top 5 number 1 draft picks. He was the number 1 draft pick in 2012. Definitely
calls him street clothes.
Street clothes, Mr. Glass. There are a lot of names. Unfortunately, this brother has not had a career notable for durability. But when he's healthy, he's potentially one of the greatest 2-way players the game has ever seen. You know, I give him a lot of flack because he got voted to that top 75 list. But there's no denying the skill set that Anthony Davis has when he's on the court. Coming in at number 2, the 04 number 1 pick in the NBA draft by the Orlando Magic is Dwight Howard. Now, we know brother's going through some things right now. Shouts out to you, Dwight. Too bad they had to put your business out there like that. But, you know, how they say what you do in the dark comes to light.
To the light.
You know what I'm saying? Bro, you know, you do what you do behind closed doors, man, but don't be forcing yourself.
Dirty laundry will come out in the rinse cycle.
Don't be forcing yourself on nobody, bro. But yeah, coming in at number 2 Yeah, coming in at number 2,
Wow.
the top 5 for top 5 number 1 draft picks is the 04 number 1 draft pick Dwight Howard, who's considered by some to be the last great traditional big, non-shooting big anyway. You know, a lot of the centers now, you know, you got guys 7 whatever standing out behind a 3-point line and shooting. I think Dwight was the last of the bigs that really played and made his money in the paint. 3-time defensive player of the year, 5-time All-NBA player, rebound champ 5 times, won a championship in 2020, the bubble chip with the LA Lakers, and carried the Orlando Magic on his back to the finals in 2009. Coming in at number 1, I think it's pretty obvious. Arguably one of, if not the greatest basketball player of all time, the second greatest basketball player of all time.
Debatable.
Depending on who you ask, no less than the 3rd greatest basketball player of all time. Also rookie of the year in 2003, 4 championships, 4 MVPs, 19-time All-Star, 13-time first team all defense. No, 13-time first team all NBA, 5-time all defense, all-time scorer in the NBA currently right now. Also 4th in assists, currently the oldest player in the league, and playing.
He's 4th all-time in assists?
4th all-time in assists, and playing currently in his 21st season.
Right.
Finished the season last year averaging.
The only other player I think did that was Vince Carter. Yeah.
Yeah, Vince was the only, I think, other player. Well, no, there were a couple of players that played as long, but there was no one as effective or, you know, still, I won't say dominant.
Playing at such a high level.
21 years later is none other than the king himself, LeBron James. So recapping the top 5 number 1 draft picks since the year 2000. Coming in at number 5, we have Yao Ming. At number 4, 2012 Rookie of the Year, Kyrie Irving. At number 3, Anthony Davis. At number 2, Dwight Howard. And at number 1, the Rookie of the Year, number 1 draft pick, 2003, LeBron James. Honorable mention to D Rose, MVP, Blake Griffin, dunk champ, Kenyon Martin, who, if I'm not mistaken, was the last 4-year college player to be drafted number 1 in the NBA draft. And rounding out my honorable mention, John Wall. Didn't have too effective a career, but I mean, my man averaged 25 and 10 assists 1 year. John Wall was definitely probably
retired. Where's he at?
Yeah, nobody wants him right now. I think he was with the Clippers last season and got cut. But you know, John Wall is definitely not what he used to be, but was definitely one of my favorite point guards in the league at one point. Played both sides of the ball, was lightning quick with the rock in his hands, would boom it on you without thinking about it, would catch you easy. You'd be on a wrong end of a poster. But like I said, was giving out 10 dimes a night like it wasn't nothing.
Yeah, so, when he was on.
He was absolutely on. So that's BK Ty's top 5 for tonight.
Yo, man, it's been a blast as usual, my brother. We out of time. Until next time, check out Sports in the City live from the arena on YouTube, Facebook, and the iRant Network. BK Ty, salute. Ja Logic, salute.
Salute.